and welcome to the TheROCKATX online worship experience. You're getting ready to experience God on another level. Whatever you're seeking from God for your life is available for you as you praise, hear the word, and transform your situation. While you're worshiping with us, feel free to interact with our online ministers in the chat and share this broadcast with your friends and family so they can join you online. Also, make sure you subscribe and follow TheROCKATX on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram to stay connected to all The Rock is doing. Now, shake off the worries of the week and get ready to give God some praise. Service will begin soon.
I want to suggest that just as there are different styles of leadership, there are also different styles of followership. Yes, sir. There are those who follow by inspiration. Come on now. I'm here because Pastor makes me feel like I can walk on water. And then there are those who follow because of gratification. So that there is a difference, and we can tell the difference between what you do when we call your name and what you do when nobody calls your name. You can tell the difference, can I teach? In what you do when you get a plaque from what you do when you don't get an award. And tell the difference between what you do when we're hugging and greeting and patting you on the back and telling you how wonderful you are, between that and what you do when you're being corrected. Because some folk only follow for gratification. Lord, it's quiet in here. And then there are some who follow by imitation. And the strength of a leader is determined by his or her ability to turn individuality into innovation. But the strength of a great follower is not determined by his ability to be innovative. But the strength of a great follower is determined by his ability not to allow his individuality to hinder his ability to be imitative.
That's good. That's great. That's powerful. That's good. That's powerful.
So the issue of followership has to do with how much you can become like the leader, which requires you to be less like you. It's quiet in here. I'm going to walk you through it. The issue of great followership has to do with, well, the New Testament term is mathetes. It's discipleship. It's one who is trained, disciplined, taught, so that ultimately he becomes like the one who has trained him. So that when Jesus calls disciples, he calls them disciples because ultimately, by the end of the day, after 3.5 years, they are supposed to be more like him than they were like themselves. Y'all with me? Yes, sir. All right, so we're going to kind of walk through this because I want to kind of talk about this issue because inspirational followers follow by feeling. Yes. As long as they're motivated either by person or by cause, they're like all in. But the question is, what do you do when you're no longer motivated? What do you do as a follower when you don't feel like following? What do you do in those moments of turbulence when you're trying to see how the plane is going to land. And you're trying to see what's going to happen. Here's the issue. Imitative followers follow a system. And they follow based on pattern and principle. Soldiers are imitative followers. They don't follow because they believe in the war. Doesn't matter what the war is. Am I talking? They don't follow based upon who the president is. They don't follow based upon what party's in charge. They are committed to a system. They're committed to principles. And so they line up, rank and file. They follow the person who is in front of them. And whether they like the captain, whether they like the lieutenant, whether they like the sergeant, when he says, "Attend, hut," they line up. When he says, "Right face," they turn to the right. I haven't done that in a while. When he says, "Forward, march," they do it because they are committed to following a system. They don't do it based on feelings. The problem with the church, the problem is that these are feel-good moments. But the question is, what do you do when you don't feel good? What do you do when things change? So I want to look at lives of 5 leaders very quickly and followers in order to evaluate where we are after 19 years of both leading and following. I want to look at the life of Moses. I want to look at the life of Aaron. I want to look at the life of Joshua. And then I want to look at the lives of Jesus Christ and Simon Peter. Here's the reality. Write this down. Leaders emerge, but followers have to evolve. Leaders emerge, but followers have to evolve. Which means as a follower, it's not your job to require him to change. Lord, it's quiet in here. It's your job to grow and to evolve into what is necessary so that he can be who he is. If he changes too much, it's a problem. But if you don't change enough, it's a problem. Mm-hmm. Leaders grow because of challenges. Followers grow because of commitment. We're going to go to the text because I'm going to show you some stuff in here that blessed me last night as I was studying. Leaders and followers develop in both emerging moments and evolving moments. But these moments determine what you change and what changes you. So that if you are a member of this church, or if you are committed to the leadership of Dr. Charles Moody, you should be able to look back over the last 19 years or 19 minutes, however long you've been here. You should be able to see that some things have changed in you. You better tell the truth. And your commitment to ministry should be largely based upon what has changed in you. But while you are evaluating what has changed in you, you ought to be able to look at 19 years of his life and say, in 19 years, he has been consistent. While I was changing, whether I was faithful or unfaithful, whether I was committed or uncommitted, I wish I had somebody. Whether I was consistent or inconsistent, he's been consistent. As a teacher, as a visionary, I wish I had somebody. As a preacher, as a leader, as a prophet, as somebody who prayed for me, as somebody who liked me, even when I didn't like myself. He's been consistent. When I didn't show up for 3, 4, 5 weeks, and I showed back up because all of a sudden a problem drove me back to the church. He didn't treat me any differently. He was consistent. And when he got through correcting me, he still loved me. I wish I had somebody. Somebody shout, he's been consistent. The leader's responsibility is to show you what God looks like. To show you how God acts and how God would handle you. So the issue of this idea of the leadership quotient is really how he handles conflict and confrontation. How he handles inspiration and how he handles innovation. As things turn, how does he handle the turn? The issue of followership is how do you handle him when he's handling the issues of leadership? All right, here we go. Let's. You got the context? You understand where I'm going? All right. In the life of Moses, his mother is actually the first innovator in his life. Because innovation always begins with conflict. And if a church or a people do not have conflict, there will be no innovation. So, Pharaoh issues an edict and says, I'm going to kill the firstborn Hebrew male children. Somebody shout conflict. It is the conflict that inspires her to do something.
That's good.
Until you have no conflict, you don't do nothing. And I would suggest to you that at least 3 or 4 of you, maybe 5 or 6 or 7, 8 or 9 or 10 of you, some of y'all ain't doing nothing because y'all ain't got enough conflict yet. Look at you looking at me. And so your prayer, in order to be effective, Lord help me, in order to be effective in ministry, your prayer should be, Lord, create the necessary environment that will push me to the place where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It is the conflict that drives her to inspiration. She says, I got to do something because I can't lose my baby boy. She looks around and says, what do I have? And she says, I ain't got nothing but a basket. Now here's the question, how do I use a basket to save a life? So she takes the baby, puts him in the basket, daubs it with slime and pitch, and takes the basket to the river, puts the basket beside the river.
Tell a story. Right.
So we move from conflict to inspiration to innovation. It's innovation that turns the basket into a floating bassinet. Sits the basket by the side of the river. Lord, help me here. Here's the thing now. In that moment, she is leader. But then she changes, shifts from leader to follower. When she's done her part, she goes over to watch, to see what will happen next. I wish you'd high five somebody, say your next is about to blow your mind. Come on, look at somebody and tell them your next is about to blow your mind. See, if you can't focus on next, you'll become distracted and discouraged by now. You got to understand. That God always has a next. You got to understand that in spite of what has happened in the past, God always has somebody shout next. She looks back to see what's going to happen next. And while she's watching, Moses, who is in the posture of following, is silent. Doesn't say anything, doesn't cry. I don't understand what makes a baby not cry. But he doesn't cry until the right moment. Unshy. And at the moment, glory to God, at the moment when Pharaoh's daughter is coming down to the river, at that moment the baby cries out. She sees the baby, recognizes that he's a Hebrew baby. Lord, help me here. And the maternal instincts of a woman who's never had a baby kick in. And she says, I think I want to help take care of this baby, but I don't know how. So then she enlists the help of what birthed it. Lord, help me here. She enlists the help of the mother of Moses. I wish I had somebody, and his sister. She enlists the help. See, you got to understand that sometimes God will let you birth something, and then sometimes God will just let you have to take care of it. So I wish I had somebody. And you don't have to birth it in order to help. That's why in our culture, in our churches, as soon as we put you over a small group and let 10 people come to your house for Bible study so that you can disciple your neighborhood, all of a sudden you feel like you called the pastor. You got a briefcase and a business card when you don't realize you are the help. Can I talk? And that's why some of us can't eat your pies. Y'all like, all right, that's another message.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. If you liked this message, you can find the rest at cmllcstore.com. We invite you to join us again for our extraordinary worship services every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., Sundays at 4 p.m., and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central, where Dr. Moody teaches how to understand the Bible, and you can get all your biblical questions answered. We look forward to connecting with you. We ask that you subscribe to The Rock ATX on YouTube and follow The Rock ATX on Facebook and Instagram to stay connected to all The Rock is doing. You can also get connected on our website at therockatx.org. Again, thank you for worshiping with us, and be blessed.